Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can hear us and you can see us. As always, if you can, please can you let us know in the comments that you can hear us and you can see us, because it's always a bit of a gamble. I know I go on about this every week, and I think so far we've been doing all right. I don't think we've yet come live and actually just been talking to ourselves, but one week it's going to happen and we won't have a clue. So if you're here with us, please do let us know. This evening you have got myself and you have got Peter on hostage cam. Let's have a little look.
Hostage cam, I'm here. How are we all doing? Are you all okay?
I'm here.
I'm here.
I haven't forgotten I am here.
All this energy from being locked up in this room.
I don't know where that energy has come from. The last couple of hours, not even like one iota of that, and all of a sudden there he is.
What do you mean not
breathing.
one iota?
Not one iota.
I'm full of beans.
Quite flat.
Could run a 5K.
You could run a 5K. I'd pay to do that. Bless him. I don't think either of us can.
No.
So, okay, more importantly, let's say good evening to whoever's joined us so far. So, Yvonne is with us, so is Lynn, so is Lisa, so is Lou. Lovely to have you all with us. Yvonne, I have got your question right down on a piece of paper ready to answer it for you this evening. So hopefully we'll do that as our second thing. And I'm going to do it second because last week somebody asked us about showing you some techniques with texture-based, but being the forgetful person I am, I've totally forgot who that was. So if you're with us this evening, please remind me of your name, because it's much nicer if I can tell you that I'm answering your questions than me trying to go from memory, because I don't have a memory. A week ago is a very long time and I have no memory whatsoever. So who else is joining us this evening? Good evening, Tammy. Lovely to have you with us. Good evening, Marguerite. Good evening, Kathleen. Good evening, Samantha. Oh, it's lovely to have you all here. I'm going to be honest with you. Tonight is just one of them nights where we're going to play. There's no real plan, to be honest. You know, some weeks we have launch nights. Other weeks we have stockist launch nights. This is our third one in the series and we're kind of in that what do we do stage. And this is really actually lovely because of the what do we do stage is where you get to jump in and tell us what you would like to know. So if there is a technique you've seen us do that you have forgot about or tried and didn't get on with, or maybe you've got a question about how to use a product from beginning to end, whatever it may be, if we've got it up here with us and we can answer it for you, we will certainly give it a go. So we try to bring up as many bits and bobs as we can do. So if there is something we can tackle and help with, then we absolutely will. And if not, we'll tackle it on the next playtime as such and see what we can do for you then. But if you have a question, whether it's on the top or tip of your mind, or whether it comes to you as you're watching this evening's playtime and sort of want to know more, then please don't hesitate to let us know in the comments. As always, I always forget to do this as well. If you're watching on YouTube, we are not live. This is pre-recorded, or not pre-recorded because it was live, but it was live at 7 p.m. on Monday, and then we upload it to YouTube afterwards. And the reason we have to do that is because sadly, we're not very popular on YouTube. We've only got like 550 subscribers, and we're not allowed to broadcast live on YouTube until we have 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching live on Facebook or watching on Catch Up or watching on YouTube and you haven't already, please do go and subscribe to the channel and get us up to that 1,000 so we can start broadcasting there as well. Because when we start broadcasting on YouTube, we give another job to Pete because he's going to have to try and monitor comments in two places because I can barely keep up with one. So yeah, but we'll get there. We'll tackle that when we get there. And I'm sure there's technology that helps with that, I'm sure somewhere. But it would be funny to see us break live because it will happen. We're not very good as it is. So good evening to Kay, good evening Kim, good evening Kim, another Kim. We've got both Kims. No pub tonight for Kim, dear. What's going on, Kim? But I'm glad you're not. I did like
She
the
might
card.
have gone earlier.
I haven't shown you the card that Kim shared with us.
No, you
she
haven't.
shared a lovely card with a pint glass on it that
Did
she's
she?
done on our group. Very, very cold. Very,
Wow.
very, very cold. Good evening, Sandra. Lovely to see you with us. Good evening, Sue. Good evening, Porsche. Good evening, Sharon. Oh, there's lots of you with us this evening. That is lovely. So don't forget, there's no new release tonight. We will be releasing or teasing you with new sneaky peeks next week. Very excited about next week. The launch next week is very, very cool. I'm going to try my best this evening to not tell you anything about it, and we'll see how far that goes or how well that goes. But we're going to try and keep it under wraps. But next Monday evening, it will be a sneaky peek night. We really should put some concrete names in places for these, but we'll class it as sneaky peek night. And next week, we'll take you through the new collection and share with you some of the samples I've made, some from the DT, and give you a bit of inspiration ahead of the launch shows. on liveshopping.vip. So that's next Monday. But this week, we are just going to have a little play around. So nobody's yet confessed in the comments who asked about the texture paste. So we're just going to have to go with the anonymous question, because I can't remember the name. Sorry, it's my fault. But the anonymous questioner. So we will go with that and we'll play with some texture paste. And I do happen to have a demo that actually brings in our texture paste and gets us to play with it. So I thought we would do this to begin with. But as I mentioned, this is just playing, possibly stuff you've seen before. I'm not saying we won't go off on tangents that might create something new as we go through the evening. So as always, anything you want to throw at us as we're doing this, feel free to, because it'll be nice to play and explore. And as I always say with our lives, I think it's when we actually start chatting and playing and kind of exploring do we come up with new ideas and new kind of concoctions, new concepts, new techniques. So yeah, it's all about you guys. So play along, join in with the chat, and we'll see what we can create. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to bring out some of our texture paste. Now I'm using the Argentite for this example, but there's 12 different colours in the Gemstones texture paste. And of course, you could be playing around with any of the ones that you'd like to. And of course, we can mix them, which we'll do in a second. But the first thing we're going to do is mix it, but not with itself. We're going to mix it with an elite mister. Now, I've forgot this already, so I'm going to do it while we're playing. If any of our darling stockists are with us this evening and they would like to, please pop a link in the comments of where people can track down these products. Because as everyone knows by now, we don't sell direct at Jamie Rodgers Crafts. We only sell for our stockists. So if you're looking at these products and would like to get hold of them, then it's lovely to know that our stockists are here with us and can help point you in the right direction with a link to their website. Equally, if our stockists are not with us this evening, because let's be honest, most of our stockists have probably had very hard working days in their warehouses or their stores and are probably exhausted by now. And last thing they want to do is listen to me blabber on about texture paste and inks and everything else. So if they're not here with us, jump onto the website, which is www.jamierodgerscrafts.com. And then on there, you will find a tab that says Stockist List, and it will tell you about our stockists all around the world. So what I've done here so far is I've taken out Argentite texture paste and I've just added in a spray of Night Sky Navy, which is one of our elite misters. I'm actually going to add in a little bit more because I want to make that slightly more intense than it is already. Now there are 6 different colours of elite misters, and we could of course mix in different shades to create different colours as well. It doesn't just have to be with one colour. Obviously if we mix them, we're going to end up with new shades. Now, if you've not seen me do this before, the reason I'm doing this and the bit I love about this is when we mix in a colour to our texture paste, our glitter is suspended in a clear medium. So when we add colour, we're colouring that clear medium. We're not colouring the glitter. The particles of glitter are not going to take on a colour, only the medium and the body that it sits within. So when we make our little concoction here, what we're starting to see is that silver glitter suspended now in a navy medium. And to me, that's really cool because it means that we've created a 2-tone effect by mixing them 2 colours together, but we've not lost the silver and we've not lost the blue. We've made a mix instead, but they're still sat there as they're 2 separate components, which is what we really love. So I'm just going to catch up with some comments because I can see a question. So evening Diane, evening Kim, evening Karen. I think that's why we picked up last. Where was my question gone? And I see somebody from joining us from Holland. Evening, I'm going to attempt this. Greta. See, I'm no good at this. I'm sorry, I apologise, Greta. I'm no good at pronunciation or reading.
I won't try the rest.
Okay, we'll stick with Greta. But good evening, Greta. Evening, Sheila. Evening, Kim. Evening, Fran. Evening says, Fran says, I have a question about tools to work with stencils. Didn't expect this demo to be with stencils. So I'm using a palette knife at the moment. This is just a standard palette knife. This come out of just like an art store, I suppose, in honesty for you. They weren't very expensive. There are lots of different types of palette knives. I do tend to like metal ones because they've got a bit more body to them, but you can get plastic ones as well. When we're working with texture paste, it absolutely doesn't have to be with a palette knife. And because you've asked that question, we'll branch off and play around with a couple of other things at the same time as we're doing this demo too, because it's interesting to show you different ideas. But for this demo, we'll stick with what we're meant to be doing because that tends to be a good idea where I'm concerned. So we can use this as we see it. And we're going to start off by taking some of this concoction that we've made, and we're just going to apply this in one corner of our stencil. So we're working with the Cosmos stencil at the moment, which is one of our stencils that come out a little while ago. So lots of the stockists have got this one available, and we're going to add this one down just over the top here. Now this stencil actually comes with a positive and a negative. So you've got both parts to it, and it also comes with the flowers as separate. So you end up with lots in your pack, giving you lots of abilities to stencil and then come back in with the other layers and add more to it. Joyce asks, how long does the texture paste take to dry? Now, if we was using just the texture paste on its own, so where we've added in more moisture, we've added in the liquid of the Elite Mister, we've diluted it down, we've made it wetter, it's going to take longer to dry. If we was using it on its own, I would say about half hour. It's a very quick drying texture paste, but there are several variables to that question, even with this original texture paste, down to how absorbent the cardstock is you're working with, to how thick the stencil is you're applying it through, because obviously the more depth to the stencil, the more there is to dry, the longer that central part is going to take to set. Our stencils are quite deep, so again, they're going to take slightly longer than traditional stencils. That might be more sort of 20-25 minutes. We're working with a 300 GSM card, which is quite absorbent, so it's going to take that moisture in quite quickly. Again, that's going to speed up your dry time. If you're in a rush, you can dry this one with a heat gun or a hairdryer. If it bubbles, come away from it. Just take your heat slightly up. It shouldn't bubble, but if it does, that might create a new texture for you. Not necessarily a bad thing, but you can heat set it and dry it out quicker if you want to. Once we've added in more moisture to it, then of course that's going to add to the dry time. If we was working on Miricard or acetate, which you could do with this texture paste, again, they're not absorbent surfaces. It will work, but it will take longer for it to set. So just keep that in mind. Another thing I wanted to do, because we're just all about playing this evening, is show you how, since this demo was done, this card was done, we've brought out our gemstones texture paste. So maybe we want to start adding in some of this to our mix. So this is our Heliodor gemstones texture paste, which is our lovely bright gold. Glitter. Sorry. Honestly, this is why Peter's here. Yeah. He wonders why we keep him on our hostage cam, kept around a corner. We do this because he rescues me from all sorts of daft comments. So of course, this is our gemstones glitter we are working with, and we are mixing it with our gemstones texture paste. And this was something I really wanted to show you, because it means, again, we can go in and we can create that mix, bringing in new shades, but without having to mix in other colours of texture paste. Now, we can do the same with our texture paste. If you've got another colour of texture paste, whether it's our brand or another brand, and you want to mix that in, you can do that too. But actually, taking in that gold, hopefully you're going to see this on the screen. It's always tricky, but hopefully you can pick up on that gold now located within that. And it's giving a lovely sort of celestial feel to the combination we've created. So don't only stop with mixing in texture paste and misters, think about mixing in your other products as well. Whether that's another glitter, whether that's a larger flake, whether that's a mica powder, you know, feel free to explore and play. There's no reason why we can't. So we're going to do that over this corner. We'll do a little bit more of this so that we've got more of a body going on. Have I missed any questions, Pete?
Sue was asking if she can have a demo using MDF, possibly.
Oh, that was the question, I see. I don't do too much with MDF, Sue. It is something we're working on. By working on, I can tell you the truth. We've been talking about MDF and upping our MDF game for a long time, haven't we, Pete? Yeah, because we do some plaques and we do some tags, and we brought out the matching MDF to go with the floral lace collection. But we don't do a lot of MDF, do we? We need to do more. And we keep having this chat and saying we're going to try and factor that in. So we will do more. But we'll see. I will see if we get a chance, when we do something short, we'll do it on MDF so you can see that as well. Because there's no reason why we can't. We could have even done this on MDF, to be fair. So we'll see what I can fit in for you. So
always. She's never used MDF, so
haven't you? So MDF is so
good to know.
We'll have to do something. Bear with me, and we'll play with MDF in a minute. I promise. I'll dig in my drawers and see what I can find. So this has now gone through, and hopefully you might see the gold. Oh, I think you can on my screen. You can. Hopefully you can see the gold located within that silver mix here. So that's kind of cool because it's showing you a two-tone effect. At the top there, we've got our original blue and silver. Now with the card that we did this on, what I wanted to show you next is if you bring in water and you mist over the top with water, and you don't want to do this too much because you don't want to dilute it down too far, but we're going to do it, let's do it on this top bit. We'll bring this in slightly more, you're going to start to see it sort of fade out. The blue from the Elite Mister is going to start coming out and dyeing the cardstock around the texture paste. And that will then create this really cool marbled effect because we're just diluting this down and pulling it further from its colour. So even once you've applied your texture paste down, don't think that's it. If you want to add more to it, still carry on playing. In the same breath, if you do it and you don't like it, we can take it away. And we're taking this away because we're going to go back to Fran's question and we're going to do something different with it. Now, if we had only been using our texture paste and we pull this away, we pretty much can take away all the texture paste and we end up back with white card. Because we've added in the mister, the dye in this has gone down, it's dyed the card underneath it. And when we was doing this on TV, David actually said how much he really liked that effect. I think it was David, it might have been Mel, but somebody was saying to me, again, showing my bad memory, saying how well that looked and how that actually looked like a technique in its own right and could actually be used and incorporated into your card making or scrapbooking or journaling, because it shows you how you can take down and then take away. And we kind of end up with like a fabric-y printed feel. Bit like we've stamped it, but without stamping it. And that's kind of cool too, because of course it's now flat to the touch, but we've created colour, we've created texture, and we've still got a little bit of sparkle that's remaining on there as well. So quite a fun technique to play with. But we wanted to get that texture base back because Fran mentioned about doing different things with it. So something else I wanted to share with you is how we could bring this in and applying it with different mediums. So we're going to bring in a tag to begin with. Let's bring this one in. And I'm going to set Pete off in a second, actually. Do you want to go see if you can find me a big MDF tag or a medium-sized MDF tag? And we'll factor that in to something shortly. I don't know what yet, but we'll come up with something to do with it. This is what I like. I like the way that we go off on tangents and we don't really know what we're doing, because that's when really cool creative ideas appear. So we're going to then take our texture paste and we're going to pick this up on the edge of a paintbrush. And actually I've gone for a tag. I'm not going to go for a tag. Give me a second. Let's delve into one of my little goodie bags. Here we go. So this is more what I wanted to share with you actually. Instead of a tag, I think it's going to be better if we do it on what we're expecting or what I know is going to look good. So if we wanted to, we can take this texture base and we can take the colour off so it's not too heavy, and we can start in the middle and we can brush that down a flower. Now I'm using our Rippled Blooms flower and I'm starting in the middle and I'm going to pull this out to the edges. So we're going to end up with our colour running all the way over our petals. And of course that glitter is going to stay within the grooves because we've got the grooves that are on that flower dye. So as the flower dye goes through and cuts, it's going to create them grooves within it. And that's going to give us that lovely sort of indentation filled full of glitter. And the dye from the Elite Mister is of course going to colour the cardstock as well. So we've started off again with our polar white card, but we're going on and we're colouring. Now this is a technique I love doing, especially with flowers, because we end up with really pretty flowers to begin with. And then the bit that I enjoy doing is picking up the texture paste, loading it onto my brush, and then loading that around the edges of the flower. Because we can just load up them tips of the petals, and what will happen is that's going to dry and give us really intense sparkle on the edge, like we've gone round with something like stickles, for instance, and piped this on, but we haven't had to be precise, we haven't had to be careful, we're just attaching it with a brush. So in answer to Fran's question, we've gone for a palette knife, we've now gone to a paintbrush, and that's 2 uses. We'll throw in a third before we move on. And then I promise we will go on to Yvonne's question, which was about doing the stenciling, wasn't it? We'll cover that again in a mo, I promise. And then we'll have to fit in a tag for Sue.
Diane said after taking the texture paste off, you could dilute the image with a bit more water, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Diane. Yes, I'm sure you could. We'll give it a go. We've still got that to one hand, so we'll have a play. Diane was our lovely commenter who a little while ago, and this is a cool technique, and we might, honestly, I worry because we might just cover a lot of the stuff you already know, so I apologise. But equally, it's really cool to try and actually, and it's like me, I forget, and I do forget, and you sit there and you think, well, actually, why haven't I been doing that technique? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And it's just sometimes I think these things, we see so much, don't we? We have so many ideas, we kind of get bamboozled slightly, or I do, and then we forget. So yeah, we'll do that as well, which is Diane's lovely idea. So all I'm doing now is doing Diane's suggestion of bringing in water, misting over the top and letting that dilute down slightly. And we could possibly take a bit of that away. See, that's getting a lot lighter, which is nice. We might end up taking away a bit of the glitter. So if you like the glitter, it might have been wise to not dilute further. But if we look to this part versus that top part, we can see just how different that diluted is. And I'm doing this with a cloth, but you could even, I mean, let's see if we can work that. We'll take a piece of paper to this top part, and did I get my brayer or did I just think about it? This time we'll brayer it instead. Now I've done this on a piece of copier paper, but we could have done this with a piece of card so that you've got another version from this. But we'll take that away. And then you've got another print, another piece that, okay, might not be perfect, but it might be something in a journal, something that you want to leave in the background. And then we've still got these pieces in different versions. All of that kind of reminds me a bit of denim, all very usable. So we'll place those off to one side. And we'll go on to our next bit that I wanted to cover with Fran. Now we'll bring in, actually, we won't do the same colour. Let's go for, what do I think is going to stand out? Let's go for some pink. Oh, that one ain't open. You don't want to watch me open them. Let's go for this one, see if we can get into this one. And yes, Diane, I think if we left it, see, there's me being impatient and taking away the colour too quickly or taking the water away. But yes, you might well find that that would bleed further and end up with even more of a sort of diluted marble effect, which would look really cool as well. This is the fun bit, isn't it? It's just about playing. Play and explore. There's, you know, like what we're doing right now is just playing with a few bits of paste and a couple of glitters and diluting bits down and seeing what we create. And, you know, there's no harm in that. And if we create something amazing, brill. If we learn a new technique, if we find something fun that we want to do time after time, then brilliant. And if we don't, what have we really lost? A little bit of paste. So we're going to take that out of the way for the second, and we're going to bring in, if I can find a piece, some mirror card. And I've not done this before, so we'll see how this goes. So I've added in, so that we're all keeping up with my random concoctions, we've now added in some pink sapphire in our gemstones texture base. So in our glitter concoction now, we've got pink sapphire, we've got Heliodor of the gemstones glitter, we've got argentite from the texture paste as well, and then thrown in for good measure, we had a couple of misters, didn't we, or spritzes of night sky navy. So that's quite a combo going on there, isn't it? We really haven't held much out of that. And we're then going to pick this up on a brayer. So again, going back to Fran's question of what can we apply this with, what can we get creative with? So straight away, taking that and just brayering over a piece of mirror card. And we'll leave this to one side and we'll see how this dries while we're live. But I have a feeling that's going to look pretty cool, actually. So I've done this over mirror, obviously, and I've gone for gold. So you might lose a little bit of that sparkle because obviously a lot of the glitter is going to sort of be lost on the gold. So we'll also do a little bit on some card as well. But that should dry and maintain its texture. So I'll lift that up so you can see it. But I think we'll keep its texture. So it's got a bit of a raised bump to it. But I also think you're going to see that mirror shine through rather nicely, and you're going to see some glitter. So that's kind of cool, and a different idea. We'll go on to a piece of card and we'll see how well that glitter shows up on the card. And then this time, I am running out a little bit on my palette, but this time we've then got the blue shining through more, because obviously the blue, the night sky navy, is going to go down into the cardstock. So we're getting more texture come from that as well, which is kind of cool. I really do need to get a mat for this desk, Pete, as I sort of go off and create very random creations. This actually looks really lovely. On the last one, it reminded me of like dragon scales on the mirror card. On the white, it's reminded me kind of unicorns, because I think that pink is coming through a bit more, and we're seeing that, which is actually really, really beautiful. So we'll give you a little lift of that one so you can see that too. Now we'll leave these to one side and we'll see how they dry. But this would be flat enough, and it is genuinely very flat. So we could potentially stamp on that after it was dry. We could run it through an embossing folder. We could certainly die cut from it. I think there's quite a lot. We could stencil over the top of that, depending on the inks we were going to use. I think there's quite a few things we could do with this part, but I will be honest, that's a bit of a wow to me. Rather love that, because I think you can see the different colours come through in it, and yet you've still got the mirror. I love a bit of mirror.
I was hunting for some silver. Diane said try silver mirror.
Oh, I couldn't see any silver, could I? We're going to have to send you downstairs, Pete, and get me some silver in a minute. But we have sort of run that bit out. So, okay, so Fran, we applied with a paintbrush, we did a palette knife, and we did a roller. Just quickly, another, I'm doing it again. Let's do another mix. Let's show you something different, actually. And this is something, when we were setting up, I thought, I've never done that. So, I know you've not seen it before, which is always kind of good. And B, it's kind of cool to see if it works. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to bring out some of our diamond white gemstones texture paste. And it was really the white I wanted to try with this. And we're going to bring in, let's have a little scoop. What one's, oh, there we go. The lids fell off of the purple. It looks like it's going to be the purple. We're going to use the royal purple from our metallic inks. And we're going to take a bit of this out. And I think we're going to want quite a bit. And yes, you could do this with a re-inker if we had them.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, wow.
If only we had a re-inker.
If only we
for
had a
them.
re-inker for this, this would be easier. And we wouldn't have to use the pad.
When are our shows next week, did you say?
I don't know, Peter, because I don't know dates.
No.
Remember, memory like a sieve.
No tedious link there.
No tedious link at all. No thread of thought at all. But if you had a re-inker or a pad, because obviously the pad works just as well, we could see.
We have seen the purple a lot. I just wonder.
Who's seen the purple a lot?
Well, if we had some different colours of inks, it might be.
Oh, you're now stop it over there. Stop it. You're going off on many more tangents than you're allowed. You're going to get us into lots of trouble. So we'll bring in a tag, because we're going to work on this tag, because I don't want to forget the tag. We can't ask you to come up with things you want to see and then forget you. So we're going to bring in a tag, and we're going to bring in some ink, and we're going to colour our tag to begin with. So what should we go with? I wonder actually. So we're going to use a black ink pad. This is Black Panther ink, and we're going to use this directly over the top of the MDF, directly from the pad, and we're going to colour our tag black. Now obviously you could do this with gesso, you could do it with paints, you could do it with all different manner of inks and mediums. So if you're new to MDF, you know, it doesn't have to be our inks and it doesn't have to be this way. One of the bits I love about working with ink over the top of MDF versus paint, and again I'm hoping you're going to see this, is you still see the grain of the wood come through. Ink will absorb in and leave you that sort of texture, that chipboard-esque look to it, where paints cover it, you know, they're a thicker medium, so you're going to cover that and you're going to lose that like reflectiveness, which is what I actually really like. But now we've got the base to our tag, what should we do with it next? Should we, and this is really off on a tangent, we're going to bring in a script stamp. So this is our Latin script stamp, which is one of our DLs. And we're going to place this onto one of our plates from in the machine. So this is a 3mm plate from the Pro Cut. And we are going to get some brushed gold ink. I don't know how well this is going to look over there. I think it'll look all right. We don't want a lot. We're going for a subtle look, so it's not vital if it doesn't show up too well. But we're going to use the brushed gold from the metallic inks. And we're going to stamp this over the top of that black to see what we create on there. Joanne says 27th and 28th as first is a Saturday. Oh, look at Joanne, know what we're up to. I never know what we're up to. We are only on the Thursday this time, aren't we? So we are on the 27th.
No, so that'll be next week, which is the 6th of March.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so not next, yeah, I'd see me not knowing where I am again, and I. So yeah, it will be next week, not this week. We've got 3 weeks this time between shows. It is this one with 3 weeks, isn't it? So we've stamped And again, I don't know how well you're going to see that. Oh, you can see it, hopefully. So we've stamped our lovely gold over the top. So we're building up here with our tag, which I quite like. Then we're going to go for this lovely little combination we created of the diamond white and the royal purple. And we're going to bring in the diamond stencil. And actually, instead of going over the top of the hole, so we end up with like texture paste around it, we're going to use that little checker bit to mark that off, because that's going to make life easier. And we're going to apply texture paste over the top. So when Sue was asking about MDF, the bit I would try and always stress and remind people, and myself, is that MDF is just like card making or scrapbooking or whatever type of craft it is you're doing already. All of the things that you would normally do, so stamping, layering your die cut, applying texture paste, can be done to MDF just like we would our cards or our scrapbook pages or our journals or whatever else it is we're working with. The bit I love with MDF is if we do it wrong, if we don't like it, it's actually easier to just paint over it and do it again. You know, gessos, acrylic paints, bits like that, great for going in and removing anything that's gone terribly wrong and giving us the ability to go around and do it again. So yeah, in that sense, I find MDF slightly more forgiving. And you don't have to do this while it's wet, but I'm just taking the palette knife and I'm removing the excess. But if it was dry, we'd be able to sort of knock it off, to be honest. But there is quite a lovely tag, actually, considering this wasn't planned or thought out particularly, giving us the ability to bring in the texture paste, bring in the stamping and bring in the MDF bit. So yeah, again, mixing to create different items doesn't just have to be with our Elite Misters. It could be with all different manner of inks and re-inkers and bits like that, which is kind of where we was going with that one. So I'll pop that one off to one side. We'll get rid of this messy mat for the second and place that into some water. And I suppose, because we should be giving something away this evening, we ought to actually make something, because we haven't yet finished what we were making. Tonight, you can, of course, win what we create. Before I forget, we've come up with a question for you. If you would like to win what we create, the question this evening is, what was your first job? What did you do as your first job? And we want all of your funny stories, all of your daft stories, all of your honest stories. It doesn't have to make us laugh. But anything that you did as your first job, we would like to hear about it. Basically, because we're nosy. So fill the comments with what your first job was, and Pete will pick somebody to win whatever we create at the end of the evening, so that we've got something to send out to you as a little thank you for watching and confessing whatever daft question this week is that we've asked you.
Kim seems to think we weren't giving away any hints this week.
Well, I said I wasn't, and then you were like, new colours. So, you know, and Kim is my witness, along with everybody else. But new colours
Do
would be
anything
nice.
to get out of the hostage situation, do you know what I mean?
Are you thinking if it,
They'll
I
free
don't know how
me.
this is going to work.
No.
If you give them hints and tips of what's coming, I think they might want to keep you there longer.
I suppose so.
I don't think they're going to rescue you for that.
There are no new products coming for
ever again until
ever
you're
again.
released. Ever again. I don't think that's going to work.
They're all embargoed.
Embargoed. I love that word.
It's a nice
So
word.
we're working on an 8x8 card blank. We've stepped it down quite a bit for the navy, which is 7 inches. So we've sort of matted by an inch. And then we're going back to our 1/4 inch steps for the gold mirror and then the polar white. So night sky navy, gold mirror, polar white, all being sort of matted up on top of an 8x8 card. And then one of the panels, which is dried, I'm going to give this a little lift and a wiggle so you can hopefully see it. You've got that marble effect coming out. We didn't miss this one too much, so it hasn't gone too far out from where it was, but this is where you get to decide how much or how little you want to miss, how much blue you wish to put into your combination, and it doesn't have to be blue, it could be one of the other Elite Misters, but how much of that colour you want to come from within the design is really chosen by you. We're going to place this onto our card, and I've just added some gold gems in the middle. Now, I apologise to whomever receives this kit, a card. It's been in a case for quite a while and it's done a few trips, so them gems have moved a little bit to where they should be, so please forgive me, but it'll give you an idea. We're then going to bring in the Happy Halloween sentiment panel, and we're going to place that down, And then on the top of the Happy Halloween, we're going to use the congratulations, which comes with the congratulations banner. So interchangeability between the two. And that completes our very quick and easy card, which has taken us 35 minutes to do, which isn't very quick or easy, but it gives you the idea of what you could be creating with these bits and bobs, and taking some of the techniques that we've sort of been working on and showing you how we can put them together and actually what we can make with them. So hopefully, although that was quite a long demo, that hopefully gave you a bit of an insight as to what you could do. What jobs have we got going on, Pete? We need to know. I want to be nosy.
Sheila was, did I read she was cabin crew?
Oh, cabin crew.
Cabin crew flying out of Gatwick. Oh, I wonder where did you go, Sheila?
Where did you go?
Sometimes you have set routes, don't you? I think you only go on set routes or something.
I can't
Tell us more.
Tell us more. We need
I
to
bet
know
there's a
more.
laugh.
Yeah, I can imagine cabin crew is quite a good laugh. Oh, that's what we should get you to confess. We want to know if you had any celebrity passengers and what they were like. I can't remember where. I was talking to some cabin crew, and I can't. Was it Sharon Osbourne? Amanda Holden? I see. I'm no good, am I? This is my fish memory coming back. But they were talking about how they'd had on their planes and telling us some stories that I'm going back a very long time. Memory like a fish. So Yvonne Johnson asked before we went live, how do I stop my stencils sticking to the self-adhesive sheet when I do the glitter technique? So I've got a piece of one of our self-adhesive sheets. These come as A4. I've trimmed mine down, and we're going to remove this top part so that we can then add this part onto a piece of card. And we're going to do this in the middle of a piece of our bright white, isn't bright white, what is it? Polar white? Polar white card. Flashbacks.
Sorry.
You're not listening. You're reading.
I'm not. Something about polar white.
Polar white. Had a bright white moment in the middle, but we're polar in now. So polar white, we're going to pop that down, place that on the top there. Any air bubbles aren't vital. If you have an air bubble and you're worried, then use a poker tool and just pop them. They won't show in the end, but to be honest, I think I've pushed them out. I might have a little one there. We'll see. Again, not with a mat under me. Poor desk. So we're then going to remove this top part. So we've got our sticky element left showing. So that is now completely sticky and ready to take on whatever we want to put over the top of it. So we're then going to bring in the stencil that we're going to use. And I thought it'd be really fun because I'm in a bit of a Christmassy mood this week and I don't know why. And I know that's very bizarre. I'm probably late instead of early. We're going to bring in the Christmas tree stencil and we're going to use the emboss ink. Now this can be any clear ink. It doesn't even have to be clear, but clear inks tend to be, and pigment inks are obviously more oily. And it's that oily bit that we want to create a barrier over the top of the stencil. This basically lubricates your stencil. So although it will stick and it will stay in place while we're working with it, it's not going to stick down and stay there for life. Because the last thing we want to do, especially with, and this isn't a negative to other brands. So many things in life have positives and negatives. But if you're working with thinner stencils from other brands, then the last thing we want to do is pull it up and rip off one of the twiddles or one of the little swirly bits. So this is your protective layer that goes between your stencil and your self-adhesive sheet. Our stencils are cut from a slightly thicker mylar, which comes with good and bad bits. One of the good bits is we shouldn't have to worry about removing it from a sheet like this because it should, what a nana. Honestly, really, why would you do that?
What have you done, James?
What a nana. Okay.
You were thinking of that cabin crew job, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
I wasn't. I would like to. Would you do cabin crew?
I'd give it a go. I did apply to work on cruise ships.
Did you?
I did.
I didn't know that. I was thinking this earlier.
We
asked so many random questions in this. Nobody'd ever believe we've been together 14 years.
No.
There's so much we don't know, isn't there?
No,
I never knew you applied to do that.
I applied to work in the gift shops, but they said I weren't experienced enough.
Oh, okay.
I was only about 18 at the time, so.
Okay, fair dues.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bit I did wrong was sticking the wrong side of the sheet down, just in case I thought then you might not know what I did wrong. Stuck the wrong side of the sheet down, so the papery side of the sheet stuck to the self-adhesiveness and then ripped. And we don't want that because then we're going to end up with all white papery patches. So we're going to do it again, but I'm going to leave it in place this time so I remember which side it is. And we're going to pop the tree back in place and then we're going to place that down again. So you want the non-stick side, honestly, what am I like? Non-stick side down, give it a good push, make sure that stencil has stuck in place, and then we can remove the top bit again, ta-da, like we should have done, so that's okay. And then we're going to bring in something. What should we bring in? I actually think we're going to go off on a random tangent. And again, we're going to try something we've not done with this technique. We're going to bring in some good old-fashioned Johnson's baby powder. Because we haven't done this with this, I don't think. We did Johnson's baby powder with die cuts, but we didn't do it with a stencil. So we're going to do this over the top of the stencil. Now I can see my stencil's lifted slightly there. We'll see how it goes. What's the worst that could happen? We've already stuck the wrong bit to the wrong bit. What's another problem?
May said she's done that as well.
Oh, I think we've all done it like 700 times, haven't we? Or maybe that's just me again, but it happens. It's life. So we're going to go over the top and we're going to burnish down our talcum powder. Thank you, May, for rescuing me. Always nice to know I'm not alone. We're going to burnish that down and we're going to tap off the talc. And I know when we did this before with talc, there was a lot of questions about talc and could we use other materials instead of talc? Absolutely. We just want a powder that's going to stick in place around the areas that you're not using. So I think it was corn flour we come up with was quite a good suggestion.
Corn flour, cornstarch,
something along them lines. Now I had a bit of a lift over here. I don't think I'd pushed it down well enough, but we're going to give that a sec and we're going to take that away. So in answer to Yvonne's question, as you see, even though it's a really delicate stencil, lifts straight off because we've covered it with that embossed ink. We're then left with a sticky Christmas tree. So for this, I thought we would bring in, I don't know, should we go gold? Let's go gold. We did gold last time when we played with glitter, but we'll go gold again. And we're going to bring in the gold glitter and we're going to sprinkle this over the top. So this is actually, talk about me calling nothing by the right name tonight. This is our Heliodor gemstone glitter instead of just gold glitter. But you know what I mean. And we're going to give that a good burnish over the top of the tree. Now, so I've never done this, so it could look absolutely awful. If it does look absolutely awful, then normally we do this using 2 different colours of glitter. So I'm going to blame the talcum powder. But I think it'd be nice to explore a different idea, and if it works and we learn something new, then that's even better. So we'll give that a actually, I think that looks kind of cool. Oh, that looks lovely. Doesn't that look good?
It's nice. I can't try.
That is gorgeous. Look at that little flick.
That is beautiful.
That's really, really nice. So that looks like we've kind of stamped that with like a sticky glue or we've foiled it or something. But that again, self-adhesive sheet, talcum powder, glitter. I really like that. So a bit patchy down here. So maybe a big poinsettia. We've got our lovely big poinsettia we could put over that corner, haven't we? Maybe that's where your sentiment's going to go. Maybe there's something else we could put down there. We're going to be cheeky. We're going to pass this off to Pete. So he's going to pop that back into that little pot while we move on to the next bit. Because of now, and this is why I was kind of thinking this, because we've got this white talc here, we could add more to that if we wanted to. So maybe, I'm going to do it that way actually. We're going to bring in brushed gold again, and we're going to tap that out. And again, you could do this with a re-inker, doesn't have to be the pad. But we're going to take some of the gold and we're going to put it out. And I seem to be going to very long hair. By the way, that's mine. It's miles long. I barely have any hair, let alone it's a metre long. And we're going to mist in some water. And we're going to go back to our brushes and we're going to find a fan brush. And we're going to mix that down slightly. We might add in slightly more water. So we're just diluting down that ink. And then we're going to bring this in and we're going to tap it over the top of the tray. And then that's going to absorb, hopefully, into our talc and give us like a speckled background to go behind our tree. Just realised that the card that we're going to give away is at the top of this desk and I'm probably covering it in gold speckles, so sorry if I have. But it's certainly a story of a life. So I actually quite like that. Can you see that okay? You see them gold speckles? We've got little bits of glitter we could brush off once that's dry. But you've then got your gold speckles. Now you think about putting some gold gems on this stencil, you've got these really lovely little circles where you can go in and add gems or more glitters or different bits if you want to. But when that dries and you've got that pearlescence gold in the background and then you've got that gold coming in over the front, I think that's going to look really lovely. And I apologise because I do realise we're talking Christmas in February, which is ridiculously early. But I think you'll agree that that's quite cool. And it doesn't have to be the Christmas tree. Could be any different stencil, could be any different idea. But if we was to bring in like that poinsettia, I so want to rip this off this card, but that really wouldn't be a good idea. But if we put that over the corner, maybe in gold, so we go back actually, and to give you an idea, maybe this kind of gold, so gold mirror card going up round that side, and then a Merry Christmas over here, and I think we've got job done. But of course, with this background, with this talc bit that we've done, another thing we can do, if we wanted, which we're going to do because we can, is we'll bring in, I don't think I've got a green, because I would do a green. As I haven't got a green, we'll do some blue, and we'll bring that in over the top. So this is Distress Ink Chipped Sapphire. Now my gold still hasn't dried yet, but that's okay. We'll do a bit round here, and we can colour that talc to be blue. So maybe we've now got a bit of a night sky going on instead, and maybe we should have done the blue before we did the splats of gold. But that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Maybe and with your stencils, and again, I haven't bought every bit of this because I didn't actually think we'd do this at all. Wasn't planned. But with your stencils, you've also got the negative part to it. So we could easily lay the negative down. I'm going to root in my drawer and see if I've got it actually, because I think that could be quite good fun. I'm telling you I haven't got it. I'm going to see if I've got it. Have we missed any other jobs?
Quite a few, really.
Oh, go on then, tell us.
He was at Woolworths. Oh, I just love Woolworths.
Woolworths is a bit of a flashback.
May, I'm trying to remember now. I think our May was at Woolworths. I'm trying to go back to my comments.
I should imagine Woolworths was a lovely place to work.
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah.
When you used to have the old music counter.
I can remember queuing up at Woolworths several times in my life, but for one of them was for a Tamagotchi.
Never had one.
Did you not have a Tamagotchi? Annoying things, they just kept dying. Honestly. You'd go into class, you'd come back, it's dead. You'd make another one, you'd go into class, you'd come back, it's dead. Honestly.
Not sure that's how they're supposed to be.
Oh.
Not sure how they're supposed to go.
Some people used to keep them for years. I never did. Mine was always dead. I haven't got a tree stencil, I don't think. I've rooted, I haven't got one. But you'll have the negative to your tree. So you could put the tree round it, and then we could go in and colour the tree with a different colour. So, do you want to go see if you can find me a tree stencil? Don't worry, we're going to just do a bit. We're going to use the green, because I haven't bought up a green ink pad either. Really not planned for Christmas tonight, did I? But we're going to bring in the green from the Elite Misters, and we're going to pretend that we've got the edges here. So we're going to colour that tree green. Now, with your stencil, you could, of course, be more precise. I think we're all right, actually, Pete. Thank you. Yeah. I don't like sending you off on too many random tangents.
Not to give me a taste of the outside life too much.
No, exactly. And actually, this is quite nice, because in the area where we didn't quite get the stenciled gold, we can kind of infill it with green, and it makes it less obvious that we missed it. So that's kind of nice. I know this is very rushed and really not actually properly done in any way, shape or form, but I think this is coming together quite nicely for what wasn't particularly thought out. And then all I'm using here is an alcohol marker, and these are cheap ones, don't use your posh ones. But we're going to add in a little bit of brown, and again you could do that with ink if you've got the right colour ink, into that lower bit down here. And then maybe we'll bring in some of the Sunbeam Yellow from the Elite Misters, and we'll pick that up, and we'll go in and we'll paint in that star. I think that's actually kind of nice. And then I'm very tempted And I do now officially know that we have gone off on lots of different tangents and not doing anything we should be doing. But we're going to bring in the snow stencil. And if I can find where I've put it, we're going to bring back the diamond white. Oh, and we're going to put that over the top. Are we officially on our own yet? Has everyone done a runner?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
I always think that. And again, we're going to just try and go round the edges of the tree. I don't mind if it goes over the tree. You know, the snow wouldn't go, oh, there's a tree there. I'm not going to snow on it. So it's not like the end of the world.
Just how snow thinks.
Yeah. Intelligent snow. Give it time with our AI snow. So we'll go around the edges. Try and just get to them sides. And if we haven't completely ruined it, then maybe we'll pop this into our parcel as well. Because it's not perfect by a long shot, but it's possibly savable. And then somebody could do something. Oh, Sheila covered Europe and the Middle East. Lots and lots of fun at times. Oh, that looks quite good actually, doesn't it? That's all right, isn't it? Considering we've winged it, that really wasn't like perfect by a long shot, and we've kind of bodged around the edges. But I think that's okay. I feel a nice flower and a sentiment, and we could probably pull that off as quite a nice little project. I would use that. I could see I would pop that on a card. Shall we put that in with the prize, Pete? Because we really haven't done a lot of way. So we'll pop that in. You hold on to it and let that dry. Because if I have it, you know I'll stick a fingerprint in the middle of it. And then it'll be absolutely useless. So we'll pop that in with the prize as well. And then if somebody wants to use it, they can. And if you don't, just pop it in the bin. It's really just our way of recycling. Truth be known. Fran says, can starch be used, I think, before my screen moved? Yes, give it a try. Honestly, it should be fine. Anything along those lines, any sort of powders that are white would possibly fine. As long as they stick to the self-adhesive, they should be okay. Talc is cheap though, which is possibly one of the cheaper options. That looks like you foiled it, Alison. That's what I said. I thought that looked like foil. I quite like that. Quite like that idea. Again, off the top of my head. It wasn't planned, but I like it. Pretty trait. I need to remember how you do this. Yes, Julie, so do I. Because I like that. I think we could work with that. Interested about... Oh, I lost the wow. The wow powders to put gilding flakes on. Sandra, that's a question for wow. But that is... I know what they are. You basically just stamp with them with a pigment ink and then put the wow powder on and heat it. And then it'll go like a glue. And then you can put foils and glitters and bits over it. So again, like gemstones glitters, you could sprinkle them over the top of it if you wanted to. That would work very nicely. Several different like mediums like that. There's also like glue ink pads that you can stamp with. Flaking glitter glue, that kind of product is also good for that technique. So lots of ways you can end up in that kind of realm. June says hello from Ontario. Lovely to have you with us, June. Somewhere I'd love to go. It's on my bucket list. Fran says Tamagotchis are coming back. I don't think they might be. I don't know if I could do it again. I just don't think I could. As I say, I was a serial killer. They never lasted very long. They're all gone. Have you confessed what your first job was?
My first job?
Yeah, what was your first job?
Well, I had a paper round, that doesn't really count, does it? But and then I was a shelf stacker in Gateway. I think it was Gateway. No Budgeons, and then I went on to Gateway.
But you did very well.
I did, and then I went to, up to deputy manager, and good fun that was. That was in the days when you used to have a slight laugh. You used to have lots of staff. Lots of staff, lots of fun. Yeah. When sort of jobs like that were a community, really, weren't they? Yeah. I suppose is probably the best way to describe them. You knew your customers. Now we're kind of where now we've kind of lost that a little bit, haven't you? You've got one person in a shop, if you're lucky, who's probably been there 36 hours and doesn't really want to know. So what we're going to do next is I thought we would, if there's no other questions, and it's lovely if you've got questions, so just throw them up and we'll have a play and see what we can do. But I'm very conscious we need to give something away. So we're going to make this card. So we've got something nice that possibly isn't splattered with gold ink or got a thumbprint in the middle of it.
So hopefully this one will go well. And if it doesn't, I just apologise profusely. But we're going to bring in a couple of dies. So we're going to use our Mats and Layers collection for this. So far we have added in the decal edge with the stitch detail. So those are the two that come together. But they are, just in case you knew, they are separate dies. So you can use your stitch on its own, or you can layer it inside one of your Mats and Layers. So we're going to use the decal edge with the stitch layer. We're then going to bring in a oval with a stitch to it. And instead of going for the outside of that to create the aperture, we're going to go to the inside of it, so that then we get the stitch left on the panel, because we're creating the frame. This is all about the frame we make, not the panel we're going to use. Now, if you wanted to, if you're looking at that decal oval and thinking, well, actually, I'm going to cut it, so I might as well cut it so it's got a use, we're going to put a stitch line on the inside, so that panel that comes away has also got a detail to it. I'm going to send this through with a piece of white card on the top, so that we create that frame.
Sharon wants to know. Sharon Hall wants to know what your first job was. I've heard no confessions from you, actually.
My first job. It depends what first job you go for. My
Or your
first
first
job. My first proper. Well, my first proper.
Moving
job
on.
Was. Why did you say that? As if it's going to be shady or problematic. What are you expecting at the end there? What do you think I'm going to say? It was good. It was fine. My dad's computer shop.
Was it? Do I know that?
Oh yeah,
I know you did bits.
You know, it's not like I was like properly tasked. Do you know what I mean? Because it was my dad, so it weren't like Tesco. You know, more McDonald's than did work, but there was work in it. That was my first paid job. Was mostly cleaning monitors and cleaning keyboards and things like that to get them ready to be resold. So there was a lot of that going to that job. And I did that for quite a while.
When was the net curtains when you used to work?
They come next.
McKay's.
So then McKay's was next. That was, for anyone out of the country who doesn't know what McKay's is, it's just like a very small department store, I suppose, really, fashions and homewares. So we've created our frame and we've got our stitch line going around the inside and the outside. And that panel I was on about from the middle, we've got that stitch line on this as well. So you don't have to have it, but if we're going to cut it, it's nice to have that finishing touch to it. So we can then build up on top of this and use that one as well. It's just a nice way to work. What we would then do is we would remove these panels from in the centre. So taking out the stitch line, placing that back with our rectangles, taking off these ovals because we no longer need these. We're going to place them back on our board as well. And we're going to go for a little dig to see if I've remembered to bring up the right die, which I have. So we're going to bring in our rippled blooms die, and we would then place that down in the inside of this panel, and we would send that through to cut out. Now, having a little look here, I can see I've used a bigger frame to do my one with than what I did originally. It's quite a bit bigger, actually. That's not good, is it? It doesn't matter. It's fine. But when I did the one that we are actually going to use, the edges to that panel went to the edges of the die. So you can see that we've cut that and we've created this panel to match in. And we'll come back to those in a second. So yes, then I went to work for McKay's. And I went in as a stockroom assistant, which I really enjoyed, actually. That was really cool. I really loved that part. A few days a week, and we'd get huge deliveries, and it'd be the battle to unpack them and get them sorted. And I really liked that. And I love, you're not going to believe this, but I love cleaning the stockroom. So the stockroom was like spotless, and I kind of left it for years, and it was filthy. And I really enjoyed doing that and getting that ship shape and ready. So then I did that, and then from there we opened the shop. When I turned 18, we opened the craft shop, and that was it. So yeah, not many jobs really. Wow. The only other work experience I've got is when I did work experience at school. So we're going to bring this frame in, and we're going to place that over the top, and that's going to mask off those areas. So all we then end up with is this little peekaboo frame sharing this beautiful flower. And this is what I quite like sometimes, because we bring you the dies in quite large formats. Like this one's quite a size, but actually focusing in more on it as a smaller element. This actual opening, the aperture we created and we've built within, this is only 4¼ inches by 3¼ roughly. So if you were doing an A6 card, that would be fine to make that your front panel. So although it's big, think about trimming it down, think about focusing on smaller areas. We don't always have to use the complete die or as it was intended. It's much easier to cut down a die cut than it is to try and make a small die cover a larger area. We're then going to layer this up on top of our Night Sky Navy card. And again, we've got a piece of pearl card coming in underneath that one as well. So we'll bring that in and we'll place that down on our card blank. So yeah, and then before that, my only other experience was working at school. Well, you must know this. My work experience. I was saying, oh, honestly, it was just an excuse to use and abuse us. You think you're hostage cam? You should have done my work experience. So my work experience, at the time, I've always loved design. I've always loved all elements of design and etc. And seeing where that was going to take me. And I always wanted to be an interior designer. So the only sort of option we had when I was picking where I was going to go was I think they class it as CAD, like design company that I could go to. And the idea was we was going to learn how to do all of the computers and all of that lot. And the other side to the designing was the manufacturing of what they designed. And I never touched a computer. In my 2 weeks there, I never even went in an office that had a computer.
Really?
They had me making, you're looking like you don't know this story.
I don't remember this story.
Do you not know this stuff?
No.
They had me making cardboard coffins. For most of my 2 weeks, I made cardboard coffins.
What, actual cardboard?
Actual proper coffins made of
Never
cardboard.
heard this story.
And bear in mind, we're going back to when I was 15, so like 25 years ago. So we're going back to the noughties. But it was all about sustainability, I suppose, and eco-friendly, and that was what they were. So we literally spent 2 weeks making cardboard coffins. And the other bit that we were doing at the same time was wisdom toothbrush display stands. Can never look at one of them again in the same way. I can't. They bring back terror. I don't believe you haven't seen me wince in the supermarkets. Honestly, we used to have to do these things. They had dump bins. There were 2 different display stands. 2 different display stands. One of them was a dump bin, but the dump bin had a rising base to it. And you had to put it all made of cardboard, and you had to build them with elastic bands. They weren't good. That was terror. And then the other thing they had was like a big, like display stand with cubes in it that you would then put the plastic holders for the toothbrushes in, and we had to build them. Neither were good. Neither. I think I had one day where I went and made wine racks for Tesco's.
You did a lot of different
not wine
bits.
racks, like when you buy 6 bottles and you get the holder. We made the holders for I think it was Tesco's, but a supermarket at the time. So yeah, and that was my work experience. So while I've been yabbering, forgive me, sorry, all we're going to do is bring in a couple of flowers. So we're going to use the Ripple Blooms flower, and we've placed that over the corner of the oval, and we've brought in our twiddly dies, which are called entwined leaves. And we've placed them on coming out from around the edges. So entwined leaves, rippled blooms, and then the rippled blooms panel nested inside the deckled oval with the deckled rectangle. Polar white card, Night Sky Navy, and then our lovely pearl card. And the actual card blank for this one is 6 inches by 8 inches. But could, if you wanted it to be, a lot smaller if you prefer. Fran says, is this a shaker? It's not a shaker, but if you wanted to put some acetate underneath this top frame and put some bits in it, you absolutely could do. I have a bit of a fear of shakers. I never make them without them leaking, so I don't tend to make too many. But you could if you wanted to. Diane says,
I wasn't going to.
With a cardboard coffin, what happens if it's raining? I don't know, Diane.
I think they were a glossier card, though, weren't they?
They were like a gloss card, but depends on your level of rain, I suppose. I'm going to go with the idea that I'd hold the service till the rain stops. I think that now you're giving me the look. The looks I get on hostage camera are so funny. It's just like fear. But I do know. I think now you can also get like wicker ones, can't you? So I don't know if maybe that's why cardboard ones went out. But I know you can get wicker ones. They were 70 quid each.
Okay.
70 quid. I knew that. 70 quid each. But I am going back 25 years. So yeah. Random conversations we come up.
Francis, do you remember the pop-up cards you used to make with elastic bands?
No, I don't. Thankfully, no. That would have given me trauma. That would have given me flashbacks.
That'd be off card making, wouldn't it?
I don't know if I could do that. Ooh, shudder me timbers. Don't think I could do that at all.
Pirate Jamie's in the building.
Hire a hostage. I've become a pirate.
Kim says, could you please show the square blue card with the butterfly on the bottom shelf behind you?
Oh, of course I can. This one. So this one is very easily done. Pete might even find us to die for it if we're good. This is our Cosmos panel. So you remember the first card we did? We used the Cosmos stencil. This is the same die set that matches up with a stencil. So the stencil can come in and it can be laid over the top of the die to mask off all of the flowers, and then you can go in and colour the flowers. So this is that panel just cut into the actual front of the card. So no trickery, no layering. Just cut that panel directly into the front of the card, and then behind it I've put a piece of our seashell blue card so that it's not open, but you could have left it open if you wanted. And then I've built up with our square dies, added on a butterfly and happy birthday to finish it off. Very, very simple, very, very easy, to be honest, but hopefully kind of effective. I should have really put some pearls or gems or glitters or something in the middles of the flowers, but that could be added if you wanted it to be. But very, very simple to do. Fran says, mine don't leak, but the confetti gets stuck. I believe the trick to that is if you either make your depth slightly thicker so that it is not getting stuck layered wise, or if you brush the front of your acetate with an anti-static pad or talc or possibly cornstarch, it removes that sort of sticky bit to it. So that might help you as well. Hopefully, I hope. So then I think we've possibly got time, if we haven't bored you all to tears and you've all done a runner, to do one more demo before we say goodnight. So I think we'll play around with this one, which is a very clean and simple, quick and easy card to do. It's not clean and simple really at all, but it is quick and easy. So we're going to find a stencil and we're going to play with this and see what we can do. And actually, this was done with our butterfly one, but I quite like it. I'm on a proper Christmas kick, aren't I? We're going to bring in a Christmas stencil and we're going to play with the snowflakes. I don't know what this Christmas bit's about. It will go, I promise. But we're going to bring in the Christmas stencil and we're going to play. I don't know where the Christmassiness has come from recently. Any ideas?
Whether what?
Christmassiness.
Christmassiness.
Christmassiness. I don't know. This time we're also going to change it up. We're going to use some prize ribbon oxide ink and we're going to go over the top of this. And this is just to show you the technique really, because it's not really even a technique, it's ever so easy. But we're going to bring in the ink and we're going to go over the top. And over the top of the stencil, we're going to try and be a bit more emphatic with what we're doing, because we want that to really colour in the stenciled area, whether it be the snowflake or the butterfly. But we're going to go over the top of this and do a little bit of that whilst trying to hold it in place because I keep moving it. There we go. We're back to where we should be. So we'll just do a small area. Then we would remove the stencil so we can see our stenciled effect, but we would go back in with the same colour and we're going to colour the back of it just lightly, not too intently. Now I use Distress inks in chipped sapphire for the one that we're actually working on. So they're a little bit more intense and slightly different to what we're working with an oxide ink, but you could achieve the same kind of effect with both of them. And we're going to add this over the top. What is with the Christmas kick? We're really going to like alienate the world, aren't we? Here we are doing Christmas in February. I know as crafters we start early, but this is next level.
Kim's hoping for some snowflake dies this year.
Oh, maybe Kim, maybe.
Listen to him.
Maybe. We have done quite a bit of our Christmas, but we haven't done all of it. I think there's going to be a lot of Christmas this year. As you can tell, I'm all up for it. I'm ready for Christmas and very much counting down the hours till we can get Christmas in, which is a bit weird, isn't it? It is a bit weird. I don't know if I've got a gold gel pen, so we might have to do something slightly different and that ain't going to work. I think this might be a bit big. So on my one, we might have to do it with a ballpoint pen. This ain't going to look very good. But on my one, I did this with a gold gel pen, but I thought it was up here, but it doesn't look like it is. So we're going to bring in a black pen instead, and we're literally just going to trace a few elements of the design. We're not going to do all of them, but we're going to do a few bits of them. The black actually looks quite nice, to be honest, but not what I would normally plan on using. But we're going to go in and we're going to put in just some details. But no, I do agree with Kim. I do think we need some snowflakes. My problem is the list of what I would like us to do for Christmas just keeps getting longer by the hour, and there is only so many products we can bring out at a time or a year. But that doesn't mean we won't have snowflakes, because how can you have Christmas without snowflake?
Alison, our lovely glue lady.
Evening, Alison.
Evening, Alison. She said, "Will you be doing a Christmas bundle with dies, stencil stamps, etc.?"
Maybe.
That is all we can say at this stage.
Maybe. Christmas doesn't start till June, so I can't tell you too much of our random plans for Christmas just yet. Is there anything we can tell them that we haven't given away yet? This evening, maybe? I don't know. I think
we know Rodney's going to grow in a family, don't we? Do we? We do now.
I think I've told the world Rodney's going to have a family.
Mm.
I think there's going to be protests if we don't. Rodney's got to have more to him. He's got to have more of a family. I so enjoyed Rodney last year and what we could create with Rodney and what we could do. I think it would be rude not to bring in some more. So I didn't do this with our finished one, and I'm going to be naughty because we haven't even got this available at the moment as a company because it's sold out. But it is coming back, and our stockists may well have some still available. A lot of the stockists knew this was going to be popular and stocked up in quite a bold way. So you might, if you have a look at the stockist list, still be able to find some clear texture paste available. But we're going to bring in some clear texture paste. We're going to hold that back in place, and we are going to bring in this to add over the top. And again, we're going to go straight over the top here of what we've been doing. And I haven't done all of my snowflakes, but going to do a few. We might leave a few without. And then on top of that, and we really are just playing, aren't we? We're not doing anything we're meant to be doing. We're then going to bring in some glitter. So we're going to use the Argentite this time. And we're just going to bring in some glitter and just flick it lightly over the top. We don't want too much, because if we wanted too much, we could have just used the Gemstones texture paste in the Argentite instead. But we're going to put some down, and we'll add in a bit more clear texture paste and pick that up. And we'll go over these actually, because if your glitter's on the top there, we can still take it. And even like right down here where we didn't sprinkle the glitter as such, we'll get kind of a loose effect of it. We'll take that way. We'll see what we've done. See if we like it. Oh, that looks cool. Yeah, we like that. Okay, so we'll place that over there. Put that bit back where it should be. And I'll give you a little look at that. So hopefully in here you can see where we've done the little doodles with the black. You can then see the clear over the top of it. And then you can see the silver over the top of that. Bear in mind, this is where we were meant to be heading. We are nowhere near that. But hopefully it gives you a kind of different idea of as well how we could plus what we did here and do something different with it. Because although this is a butterfly, so we might not want to add the glitter or the black marks over it, this one was done in the same way. We stenciled, we built up, and then we added the details of a gold gel pen. And this is our kaleidoscope stencil, which is actually one of our first stencils we ever did. My kaleidoscope stencil, and it's still one I go back to time after time. But it'll be nice to complete this so we can send it out. I've just noticed we've lost a pearl, so I will find a pearl to add on there. I found it. It fell off on my tape. I'll glue it back on in a minute. We're going to bring in another panel. So already we've got our card blank. We've got our gold mirror card. On the top of the gold mirror card, we've blended round a piece of white card with the same chipped sapphire to that we've used to do the sensor in. And then we've added a piece of white on the top of that. And this card blank is 6 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. I'm going to add a small dab of glue. There is a bit of glue left from where the gems come from, but we'll add a small amount back on top there. And we'll add on our pearl again, or our gem. Keep calling it a pearl, it's definitely a gem. Got a little bit of foam on there, so we're just going to take that away. Pop that back on there. And then we're going to bring in our middle panel. So the middle panel is using the scallop square. Now this scallop square is actually from one of our corner sets. I don't remember which one, but it comes with one of our corner sets of dies. But we do now have our scallop set of squares as well. So either way will end up in the same place really. So it's just using one of those. Then for the middle part, we're going to add on a butterfly. Now, just in case you've not seen this, you probably have, but just in case you haven't, we're going to do the trick to layer the butterfly. Because our butterflies, these are all-in-one dies, so there isn't a separate outside edge to these. They cut as one and they will come out as a filigree, but we want a backing plate to go behind them. So the trick to do this is we're going to take our plates, we're going to place on top our butterfly, we're going to go for the colour that we want to be the filigree element first, which is the gold, and then we're going to put the colour that we want to be the filled in element over the top of that, in this case the white, and we're going to send it through the machine. Now what will happen is the die will cut through the gold because of the die is right up against that. It will engrave the white, but it shouldn't go through it, it will just engrave it. If you wanted to tease the pieces out, then you probably could, but it shouldn't actually go through on its own right, so we can then use the white one as a backing to go behind the gold. Gingerbread people would be fun, says Diane. Gingerbread people would be fun, actually, and they could be quite nice to go with our Rodney.
Good.
Couldn't they?
They could.
Fun. Again, not on the plan, but we'll give it a tweak. We'll see what we can come up with. Yvonne asks, is there anything Oriental in the pipeline?
You've got the look as if there is. Is there? Oh, look at him. I'm thinking.
There's not a collection, but there's some odd elements that could be used in an Oriental fashion.
There are.
There is.
There is.
There is. Are you with me yet? Doesn't
Not
matter if you're
quite.
not. So this, but yes, in answer to your kind of question, Yvonne, yes, there are some bits that would go into that kind of nicely. But a complete collection, not yet, but maybe. The answer is never no, really, is it? So where we okay, just before we give away anything else. So here our antennae have caught on a little bit and are going to be a bit of a pest to get out. Now we could go in with a poker tool and get rid of them or get them out, as you can see. But actually we don't need these antennae anyway. We want the gold ones, and trying to line up antennae can be a bit tricky. So I would actually normally trim that off, whether it's in there or it isn't, whether it comes out or it doesn't, it's easier to get rid of it. Then on this bit, I would use a palette knife because we don't want to push down on these areas because they are engraved, and if we were too forceful, we could push them through. But if we use the edge of a palette knife, we can take these parts away, and you're left then with a solid butterfly that we can then match up and build up on top of. Now, if you've used a very open die, so maybe like a circle, for instance, not that you'd want to do this with a circle, but if you had a very open die and you look at that and the bits look like they're going to fall out really easily, then they should still be kind of in place, and you can put some tape on the back of them, whether it's just like a low tack tape or a masking tape or a sellotape or self-adhesive sheet, whatever you want to use to keep them in place, but they should certainly come out and be in place while you're working with it. You can then glue the top one, the gold one, to the base one, and you've then got a solid effect butterfly without having to buy another set of dies, which is really nice because it means that we're getting more use out of the dies we've already got. And that does not only apply to me, it applies to everybody. So we'll then bring in our butterfly and we'll place that down in the middle of our card, and that completes our third very, very simple card. Now, if anyone has any questions, please let us know before we say goodbye to you, because I'm very conscious that we've been waffling on for what feels like forever for you all, I'm sure. So I don't want to hold you up all evening. And we've done a couple of demos. We've hopefully give you a bit of inspiration, but if there's anything we can help with before we go, just yell and we will try and answer it for you before we do a runner. Now, which one did we do this evening? We did that one, didn't we? So you have got those 3 cards that will be picked to go to our winner. If Peter would like to be picking his winner, if he hasn't already, that would be very handy. Having a little read, checking out any other funny stories to tell us before we let them go.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No. Laurie said she'd like a frog in the clan. If people don't know what the clan is,
Clan in the clan.
they think, what's that all about?
A frog. A frog could be a very nice addition to our clan. Our clan is having new additions as we speak. Not next week. I have to be careful, don't I? Not next week, but we're we're not far from new additions to the clan, or new addition to the clan, but there will be more later on. The clan has got to grow, hasn't it? We love the clan. If you don't know what the clan is, if you're sitting there thinking, I've got no idea what this clan is, come on, Pete, find us. I haven't changed behind me in a while, have I? We need to update behind me by next week because we're a little out of date with what's going on. Are the clan not up here on the front of this shelf today, the clan?
There she is.
There's the clan. So if you haven't heard of these are our Cuddly Clan collection. There are 3 characters within the collection, and they are stamps and dies that match. So there is our lovely cat, who is Freddy the Fisherman. There is Hazardous Henry, our workman dog. And then there is Deirdre the Disco Owl, or Disco Diva, sorry, who is our lovely owl. And all of them come with stamps and dies to build up a scene and to sort of interchange between the collection. And these 3 launched in January, but there will be more additions to them later on, I promise, because I just had too much fun with them for there not to be more additions. Even if nobody ever bought them again, I still think we need to have more just because I love them and I've enjoyed playing with them far too much. So, okay, have we got a winner, Peter?
We do.
Come on then, put us out. Who's going to be our winner?
The winner this evening is our lovely Laurie Pearson. So, congratulations, Laurie.
Congrats, Laurie. Congrats. Now, Laurie, could you please let us know who is... no, not who is. We've done that bit. Laurie, could you please let us know your address, please? If you could pop us over a message, we will, with your address in it, we will get them posted out to you. And if you could let us know if you'd like them signed. If you'd like them signed, it's not a problem. If you don't, we fully understand. But if you'd like them signed, we'll sign them. And if you don't want them signed, we won't. So please let us know. Any hints for next week? Have we? Is that an old one or is that a new one?
I think that's an older one.
Is it an old
Can
one?
we give hints? We can't give.
What hints have we given? We've sort of hinted that there might be some re-inkers, and we've kind of hinted that there might be some new colours.
Mm-hmm. And then have silence. Very beautiful.
There is some beautifulness, and there is some nice. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be good. I'm not going to let
have to tune in next Monday.
Next Monday, 7 o'clock, all will come clear. It's not a huge collection, and it's got lots of. What I will tell you, it's not huge. It's not like thousands of pounds collection. In my mind, it covers a few different topics, which I think is sometimes handy from a collection instead of just going all in on one theme. I think that's kind of nice. And there's a few additions, not only in the collection, but there's a few other bits coming with it, which will add on to things that we've done before and bring you new bits to play with, which again is something we always go on about, is building our libraries and building out different bits. And some of the bits that we've seen that have proved popular, there's some new additions to that. And I will tell you, because I can tell you, that Clouded in Mystery might well be making a return around then as well, and might well have to be launched back on our lovely liveshopping.vip shows. So if you've not seen that before, next week we'll give you a little teaser of what we can do with that and show you a little bit more to you about that product. And of course, then it'll all be waiting for the shows on the Thursday to get your mitts on it. But we'll have a little look into that and show you more details on that. Alison asked just before we go, when are we on the highlight again, or liveshopping.vip? Never know what name to call it, but it is Highlight Crafts, liveshopping.vip. That is not this Thursday, it is next Thursday, which, if I go by memory, is the 6th, 7th. We've done it again. We only chatted about this a minute ago, didn't we? 6th? I think it's the 6th of March. We're back for 3 hours, 2 hours for our brand new release. And then one of our old favourite collections will be making a return for the 3rd hour. So that should be kind of good. And we'll tell you more about that, including show times, when we're back next Monday at 7, when we will show you the brand new collection. So, okay, let's leave you all in peace before I waffle on forever and you all die of boredom. So thank you very much for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure to have your company and to have your input and to spark ideas with you all. So thank you from me.
Thank you from me.
And we will see you next week, hopefully at 7 p.m, if you don't see us pop up somewhere before. All right? Have a lovely week, all. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.